Morning everyone. Today we'll be doing with chapter 12, that is nationalism, national movement. Okay, second phase. Okay, so in this class, okay, you will be learning topics such as the civil disobedient movement. Okay, the civil disobedient movement, okay, started with the leadership of Mahatma Gandhi. Okay, and it started, okay, with the Dandi March. Okay, the civil disobedient movement started with the Dandi March. Okay, so what was the Dandi March all about? Okay, Gandhiji, okay, he thought of very innovative and new ideas in order to bring change in the Indian society. Okay, so what he decided was he decided to break the salt law, because salt was the salt became a monopoly of the government of Britain. Okay, it came under their control. Okay, so what they wanted to do was they wanted to protest it. And so what happened on 12th March 1930, Gandhiji along with 78 followers, okay, what they did was they started off the civil disobedient movement with the Dandi March. So they marched along with Gandhiji, okay, along with Gandhiji, 78 followers on 12th March 1930. So the first picture you can see, that is the Sabarmati Ashram in Ahmedabad. Okay, so what they did was from the Sabarmati Ashram. Okay, Sabarmati Ashram was an ashram which was started by Gandhiji. Okay, so what happened from this Sabarmati Ashram, they walked, okay, for about 25 days, okay, and they reached this place called as Dandi. Okay, that is on 12th, okay, that is on 6th April. Okay, so what happened was they walked for around 385 kilometers to reach this place called Dandi. Okay, so when you reach this place called Dandi, okay, he just went down. Okay, you can just see the picture. He just went out, took a pinch of salt in his hand, and he tasted the salt, and he broke the salt law, because Indians were not allowed to touch the salt. Okay, so what he did was he just defied the salt law, after which the civil disobedient movement started off. Okay, so salt, okay, soon became a symbol of people's opposition, because it was Gandhiji who broke the salt law. Okay, so what happened was in Tamil Nadu, we had leaders such as C. Rajalakopala Acharya, okay, who led a very similar kind of a movement, okay, from Jishnipoli to Vidranyam. Okay, due to these places in Gujarat, Sarojini Naidu protested in front of a salt depot. Okay, Sarojini Naidu in Gujarat, okay, where there was a salt deporting area, okay, where they give the salt. Okay, so she protested. Sarojini Naidu protested against these things as also. Okay, so this civil disobedient movement slowly started off with disagreeing of or breaking a salt law. Okay, and what happened was in the middle of the civil disobedience, we can see a large number of people boycotting foreign British schools, colleges, offices, important titles which were given to them. Okay, what happened was they collected goods from all the shops which were made in Britain, and they started burning all those things into bonfires. Okay, and people also stopped paying tax. Okay, but the people, okay, who were protesting faced a lot of lathi charge, okay, and bullet from the British, okay, as well as most of the people were imprisoned because of their activities that they imparted. Okay, so that is all about the civil disobedience movement. Okay, next is the first roundtable conference. Okay, so this first roundtable conference was held on November 1930. Okay, so what happened was the government moved for a conference to be held in England. Okay, in order to discuss about the Simon Commission, which was supposed to enter India. Okay, so what happened was this first roundtable was held to discuss with the Indians. Okay, Whereas the Congress, they boycotted it and they did not attend the first roundtable conference. Okay? It was only the Muslim League, the Hindu Mahasabha, and the representative of the Indian princes, okay, they participated in the first roundtable conference, but and so they could not come to a conclusion because Congress, which was a prime member during that time, did not attend the conference, okay, because they boycotted the conference, and so they could not come to a solution, and the first roundtable conference came to a waste. Okay, and in this time the civil disobedience movement was at large going on in India. Okay, and so what happened during the next year, that is in 1931, okay, the Gandhi Irwin Peg, okay, so this is the scene of the first roundtable conference, okay, which was held in London. Okay, so next is the Gandhi Irwin Peg. Okay, so when the civil disobedience was still going on, okay, and the British, okay, they wanted to bring some solution, okay, in the Indian independence movement. So what they did was, Irwin, okay, Mr. Irwin, okay, who was also British, what they did was Gandhiji and more of them, they came to a discussion, okay, and they decided to frame the Gandhi Irwin Pact. Okay, according to it, okay, the Congress. Okay, so according to it, the Congress demanded all the political prisoners, okay, those who were in prison during the protest, during the boycott which was there in India, should all be freed from the jail. Okay, so and in return, the Congress agreed to suspend the civil disobedience movement. Okay, according to the Gandhi Irwin Pact. Okay, the Congress wanted all the Indian prisoners who were arrested, okay, who were arrested during the protests that they were doing, who were arrested when they were boycotting the foreign goods. He wanted all these people to be freed from the British jails, okay, and the Irwin also agreed to do that, okay, and so Gandhiji willingly accepted to accept the Gandhi Irwin Pact. After accepting, Gandhiji was supposed to suspend the civil disobedience movement. Okay, so what happened when India was at its peak fighting for independence? Okay, Gandhiji suspended the civil disobedience movement, which profusely affected, okay, or hurt the sentiments of the Indian people, and most of the people, they started losing interest, okay, because of this thing. Okay, and then comes the second roundtable conference. Okay, so in September 1931, okay, Gandhiji finally went to London in order to attend the second roundtable conference. Okay, so the British government had also invited representatives from other organizations connected to the Muslim, Sikh, Christian, and Indian princesses. Okay, so most of them, okay, they claim to be representative of their own communities. Okay, those who were invited, they were considered as representative to their own religion, to their own community. Okay, and what happened was only Gandhiji represented the whole country, whereas other people, they represented the Hindu community, the Muslim community, the Christian community, the Sikh community, okay, etc., etc. But Gandhiji was there only to advocate, only to demand, okay, for the country, not as a unit, or not as a small body, or not as of a particular community. Okay, Gandhiji was there for the whole nation. Okay, so Gandhiji also appealed to the government in terms of national unity, national independence. Okay, but the British government refused to accept the demand put forward by Gandhiji. Okay, and so what happened? The following year again in 1932 again. Okay, what happened was Gandhiji again reignited the civil disobedience movement. Okay, so when he reignited the civil disobedience movement, yes, obviously the movement started, but it did not have the same spark, did not have the same power as it did earlier. Why? Because when all the nations was ready to fight for the independence, Gandhiji suspended the civil disobedience movement. okay, and bringing it back after a year or so, people lose interest already. People started to lose interest in order to fight for the people, okay, and so it led to the failure of the civil disobedience movement, okay, and finally in May 1934 Congress withdrew the civil disobedience movement, okay. So that is how the civil disobedience movement lasted, okay, or how it progressed, okay. Next we have the Government of India Act 1935. Okay, so in August 1935, okay, we also have the Government of India Act 1919, right? So this is the renewal, okay, of the Government of India Act. So what happened was in August 1935, the Government of India Act was passed, okay, by the British government, okay, and its main features were India was to become a federation. Power was supposed to be divided, okay. If India was supposed to become a federation if half of the princely states, okay, decide to join, okay, with the British government. That was the first feature. India was supposed to be divided into center state, okay, to be more progressive if half of the princely state joined with the Indian Union, okay. Provincial autonomy was also given. Provinces were given their own autonomy, okay. The ministers of the provincial government were to be responsible to the legislature. Provinces were to be granted autonomy, means provinces, okay, which were there in India were given freedom, okay, in terms of administration, okay. So what they can do is the provincial government was responsible. So when the provincial government will be established, so this provincial government will have the responsibility, okay, to the legislature. The legislature was known as the big house. So what they have to do is they have to be responsible to the legislature, okay. The power of the legislature was also increased. The right to vote, however, remained limited. Only 14% had voting rights. Okay, so the power of the legislature had increased, but voting became very limited. Okay, only 14% of the princely state they will be able to contest the election and be there. Okay, and we also discuss about the hierarchy, right? The hierarchy that is division of power between the center and the state. This was also removed, okay. This was also removed, and the Viceroy of India, he became the most powerful person in India, okay, with the Government of India Act 1935, okay. This act was considered as an act which was against the Indians, and so the Congress, they rejected this Government of India Act 1935, okay. And what happened? The Congress, even knowing that they were not able to contest election at large, they contested the Legislative Council Assembly's election, and which was held in 1937. Okay, in this election, okay, the Congress won majority seat in 6 provinces. Okay, in 3 provinces, it emerged as a single largest party. Okay, in 3 provinces, Congress emerged victory. Okay, as a single party. Okay, and it formed ministries on its own. Okay, 7 out of 11 provinces. Okay, so provinces were given autonomy, right? So what happened when Congress won? It took 7 provinces under their control. Okay, out of 11 provinces which they won the seats. Okay, the ministry, okay, did useful work in the field of education and upliftment of Harijans. Okay, so when the Congress were being elected, what they did was they took control of the education sector, and also they tried to uplift the condition of the Harijans, who were the lower caste people. Okay, and soon the Second World War started in 1939. Okay, Britain got involved in the war. Okay, and also involved India in the war. Okay, without even consulting the leaders of India. And in March 1942, okay, Sir Stafford Cripps, okay, came to India with the same proposal. Congress felt that the proposal offered little and too late. Okay, and Gandhiji described the Cripps mission or the Cripps proposal as a post-dated check on crashing the bank. He decided to start another mass movement, that is Quit India movement. Okay, so what happened was, after the war, when the war was going on, okay, Cripps came with a new statement, okay, for the Indians, so that if the Indians accept it, okay, then they will run smoothly. Okay, so this mission was, the Cripps proposal was mainly for the benefit of the British people. Okay, so what happened was, Gandhiji did not want this, and so what happened? They rejected this Cripps proposal, and Gandhiji decided to go for another mass movement. Okay, that is the last movement of Indian independence. That is the Quit India movement, 1942. We will be learning in our next class. Thank you and have a nice day.